Hey guys, this is Ross. It's been raining like crazy here. We had a couple storms. I'm not sure if I'm going to publish the previous video I did, but I did a video. Maybe you guys have seen it at this point. I did a video just talking about different grafts that I've taken and the varieties that I grafted. And it was during a storm that was coming in, and I was like fearing for my life. It was kind of funny. But today, it's been raining. The storms have coming in, and it's going to keep raining. And there's not really much I can do out here. So I'm just going to kind of do a walkthrough. I mean, I do this every day. Really important to do a garden walkthrough, an orchard walkthrough, many times a week. I mean, I do this almost every day, and I recommend you guys do this every day. The more time you're out here, the more time you spend with your trees, your plants, whatever it is, you're going to learn a lot more, and you're going to learn it a lot quicker. You're going to observe a lot more. So that's what we're going to do today, and we're going to see what I can observe. Maybe some things that have changed since the last time I was outside, which has been like 2 days now. So yeah, let's check it out. So we'll start here with the potted figs, I guess. And I really need to hook up the irrigation system. You can see that my drip system's on the ground here, but it hasn't really been all that warm yet, and these trees get plenty of water, so more water is not really good for them right now. This is an area of trees I have that need a little help, and I should move these over because I have another area over there of fig trees that also need some help that I was intending to graft. These I am not intending to graft anytime soon, but they do need some help. And these are some trees I may have killed. This one obviously I didn't kill, and this one I didn't kill, but lots of dieback this year in the greenhouse on these trees, so that's what they're doing here. We also have right over here against the house, we used to have a ginormous butterfly bush, and this thing my parents decided to prune 3 years ago, and they took a chainsaw to this thing and just it was really a mistake, and ever since I've been trying to correct their pruning, and I took out a lot of wood, and now this year the wood that was left over, that was actually kind of massive, that did have a decent form to it, if I back up a little bit, it really filled in that whole area here, this whole thing. I know I did a video previously on a mulberry tree that was planted by seed. This is that mulberry tree. We cut it down. We decided because yeah, I think we would just rather have the butterfly bush. It's such a great pollinator. So what I've did recently is actually limit this to a few canes, new shoots that come up from the base, and then those will be either at the end of this year or next year, they'll branch out and then form that shape that they used to have. So this will take a year to get this all back, but it'll be beautiful once again. And I guess in the meantime, I did plant here a fig tree. This is red ruby. This is a very dwarfed variety, super dwarfed. I figured this would be a good spot because it's up against the house here. It also has nice rocks going on. This is a really nice microclimate for this tree. And it also gets really good warmth from the afternoon sun that then comes up over the greenhouse here and then sets out over here. So this variety actually will not get full sun. We'll probably get around 6 to 7 hours a day, different times of the year, but so far it's growing well, and I think that's very easily attributed to the heat that is in this area. So going off of the assumption that we don't necessarily need too much heat, we'd actually rather have, we don't have too much sunlight. Going off the assumption that we don't need too much sunlight, we'd actually prefer heat. This tree would do a-okay in that scenario. So yeah, it's taken off quite well, and I'm very tempted to limit the number of branches here. I want this to be a low-growing tree, and that's really what it is. I mean, look at the angles in which these branches, they're almost parallel to the ground. I mean, look at that. So It's a very dwarfed variety that's well worth noting. One of the few, if any, dwarfed varieties I'm finding. Let's look at some other trees, I guess. You know, these are my more healthier trees. Some of them I had just up-potted into larger containers this year. I'm finding the 10-gallon size is quite nice. That's what these are here, 10 gallons. You know, this is the Dal Oso here from Belfiore Nursery. The leaves are quite similar to a Black Mission. So I'm either thinking that it's a mutated Black Mission. You know, that's pretty similar to Black Mission leaf, if you ask me. You know, so, and it also seems pretty reluctant to fruit, but people are saying the fruit quality is really good, and it fruits early. I've seen a picture of this fruit, and it does look similar to Black Mission, so who knows? We'll see what happens. But yeah, so got some other trees down here. Some of them now have fruits on them. Some of them have brevas. This is Blava. That one's really good. I mean, the ones I have in larger pots now by themselves against this wall here are all early-ish varieties that should ripen the full crop without a head start. We even have Fico Love down there, Black Beauty 10, and this is Long the Out, one of the more underrated varieties of figs for sure. This is my Petite Albique. What an insanely productive variety. The Trace Displace, you know, LSU Champagne, who has dropped a couple figs since I stuck it out of the greenhouse, but there is a very early main crop coming on here that should ripen in the end of July, I would expect. This is Hated de Argentile, a favorite of mine of last year. I think it has a lot of promise. This is my Moscatel Preto that did horribly in the greenhouse, and now it was a massive tree that's since then been chunked down into this form that it's in right now. This is my Suwadi. This is honestly becoming one of my favorite figs. I mean, it's so productive, it's early, does well in the greenhouse with a head start. It's just a winner. This is my Azores Dark, growing quite well. Then we have some more trees in here that I've grafted. I mean, I've gone over lots of my grafts that I've showed you guys. You know, we have a Hated de Argentile graft. I have a second tree of it right there. Many different grafts. This is Calderwood Unknown. It's supposed to be similar or the same thing as LSU Tiger. This is my Spey. Also going to have a very early main crop on it. Hasn't really grown all that much since I put it outside of the greenhouse. This is my Olympian here. It's got a nice breva on it, very sizable. And I've also grafted onto this Sunbird, which is another English brown turkey. Olympian is an English brown turkey. They say it's a variety that is newly discovered. It doesn't exist in the USDA collection. Well, that's because they don't have any English brown turkeys in the USDA collection. So yeah, this is totally something that already exists in many forms, and Sunbird is one of them. And this is another one here, Soda Sicilian, that doesn't look like it's going to take. This is my last note of it. I really hope this one does, because it's very, very interesting to me. This here is DN Manel. I cannot pronounce that. Another Pons fig that I believe is the same thing as Griste Saint Jean, which is a French fig. We'll see. This is the overall biggest winner surprise. This is the biggest surprise of the season. This is Frigola Nera. This is a fig from a collector in Italy. His name's Nicky. And holy shit, is this thing productive. It actually put out 5 breva. They all dropped off, but I think that's because of the conditions the tree was in the greenhouse. Didn't have much water at the time. That's another tree there, De La Caseta, I believe. So these things are really going pretty well, the figs. I mean, they're off to an incredible start. This is my LSU Tiger. that I had ripped up as a sucker. Had a pretty good root mass on it, and it's putting out pretty good growth. I mean, I'm really surprised with this. This will be a full-fledged tree in no time. This is a graft I did of Simon Unknown. This is going to be one of the most talked about figs, I think. I have very high hopes for this one. It's a Palmata hybrid. It comes from northern part of Iraq. That's actually quite cold up there in the mountains. Zone 7, believe it or not. This here is my poor citrus tree. Neither of my citrus trees did well inside. 4 of my citrus trees I had. So 2 of them died. These 2 are alive. They were the oldest, and I guess that's why they're alive. But, you know, it is what it is. I may end up putting them in larger pots, getting them out of these small bags here, because they really dry out too quickly. And that is exactly what happened inside. They actually dried out very quickly, and I didn't realize that was happening. Live and you learn. This is my white Triana. Grafted 2 similar varieties onto it. This one, I had grafted actually a different variety onto this called Stallion, which is similar to Blue Celeste. And the Stallion cutting that I had is dead. So you can't really graft a dead cutting to a rootstock. That's not really going to work. This, however, is Unknown Mytica, which is probably very similar. It is very similar to White Triana. It's also similar to Canadria, Atriano. So this one, I've been told by a friend who really knows his shit, really knows his, you know, the taste of figs. That's really important as a collector, is to really get a good palate for these things. He recommends this one. So we're going to see if this one takes. It's so far it's not doing a damn thing. So I may have to take this off and redo it and graft it up here. Make my cuts here, insert it back in. Yeah, I mean, we just got a lot of things going on. This is another Dalloso tree that I have. Probably a Black Mission type, if I had to guess. Who knows? This is a Pastilieri graft that I did. This is Pastilieri, though, from Paulo Bologna. So, Pastilieri in the past, I don't know why that's so funny to me, but Pastilieri is a dropper. Drops figs for a few years before it reaches maturity. And I'm going to see if that's the case with the Paulo Bologna strain of this, and we'll find out. Yeah, we just have lots of grafts going on. Very, very interesting varieties, I would say. Really good information. This is a Cole Littman's tree I just got from my friend Bill. Thanks again, Bill, for this tree. I mean, it was really nice of him to save this for me. This is St. Anthony. This is the same thing, I guess, as Marseille. And what can I say about this? This fig kind of sucks. And I had originally intended to use these 3 limbs here for a Frankenfig, but I decided I want to give this tree one more shot. Last year the figs were, I don't know, they were of decent size, I guess. It's a honey fig, but the skin is the problem of the fig. It's very bitter, very tough. And I'm thinking this year that it actually has the potential to dry on the tree. I think I could get this variety to somewhat shrivel up and kind of remove that bitterness in the skin and have this tree really turn into something special. So that's my goal with this, is to let this one hang for as long as humanly possible. This is very similar to something like Latarula. You know, White Marseille is, you know, kind of that type of fig where the inside, it's a small fig, and the inside's white, actually. It's pretty white, and you can very visibly see the seeds. Honey fig. Here are some of my larger trees now. I've been putting 2 different varieties into the same pot as much as I can. I'd rather have, I'm trying to get away from these smaller sized 5-gallon pots and putting them in larger containers. I think that's the way to go. You know, here's my other pile, by the way, of trees that just they need help. So some of them just haven't woken up. I grafted this, but as I was grafting it, I realized the tree isn't awake. What the hell am I doing? So this tree hasn't woken up yet. None of these trees have. In fact, there's some dieback here on this Italian black tree. There's some dieback here. This is my friend's tree he gave to me last year. Actually, I rescued this tree from him. They were in his backyard. He didn't water because he got kicked out of his house. So I came by and rescued his trees. And this one, I think, it's just not waking up. I don't know. It never put out growth last year since I've had it. It still hasn't put out growth. So I don't know. I'm starting to think it's dead. And it's just some of the trees are just not waking up for some reason. This one finally did wake up, so I will be able to graft to this. I thought I had lost this one. I also thought I had lost this one, but it looks like it's alive. There may be a bud back here. I will be grafting onto this and grafting onto this. And then we have more figs. Everything looks pretty good so far. The walkthrough, I guess, takes me quite a while. I'm spending a lot of time talking about different varieties. This is a Morus Nigra. And I'm finding that these Morus Nigra varieties, and everyone keeps saying that they don't grow very quickly. The nodes are very close together. I agree. Last year, my tree, though, when I first got it, I got it last year from Whitman Farms. Woman that works there and owns that place, very nice. I don't remember her name, but she gave me this tree, or I bought it from her, really for not that much money, and it's a Morus Nigra. How can I complain? But this year, it doesn't seem to be fruiting. Maybe it will fruit at some point here. I'm not sure, but I kind of like the fact it's not fruiting and actually putting out lots of growth, because it's starting to get some structure now, and the tree looks very healthy. I mean, I don't remember what she was saying or what people are saying on the internet, but this tree maybe will put out this much growth in an entire year, but mine has already done that, in the first month of its season here. Not even the first month. So really excited that this thing has grown the amount that it has, for those of you that are mulberry fans. This is my RDB, really putting out healthy looking leaves. Believe it or not, I got this at Bass's Fig Gathering last year from PA Figs. For those of you guys know who PA Figs is, he also does fig videos and whatnot. And I shit you not, the root ball was so root bound in this little container. I mean, it was like a 3-inch, 4-inch container, but it was very root bound. And when I put it in a larger container, as soon as I got home, the thing has just taken off, and it filled up a 5-gallon size container very quickly. And then this year uppotted it to a 10. So I'm excited that this thing is growing. I'm kind of wondering how strong this tree is currently, because I don't want it to grow too many limbs. You see here, I have too many limbs going on. Of course, there's this guy. So I don't know if I want to maybe sacrifice some fruit this year for some form. I'm not sure what I want to do yet. This is my LSU Red, who's really doing well. In fact, you can see in here that if I were to pinch this thing, I'm pretty sure it would put out figs. It may already be putting out figs. There's kind of a 2-dot scenario going on in here. If anyone has seen my videos on pinching, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it looks like it's hard to really tell unless I pinch this myself. But it seems like that would be very early if I were to pinch this and get fruit off of LSU Red. It's normally decently late, so that's exciting. Yeah, just some more trees here that I've grafted. This is another one here I grafted, 3 different limbs too, and then the 4th limb I let that grow to preserve the variety that the rootstock is on. Same thing with my Canadria. I'm preserving Canadria. This is Sweet Joy, preserving Sweet Joy. I want to get a taste before I get rid of them. I love Canadria, by the way. Sweet Joy I've never had. But this is my LSU Tiger tree I just got from a friend. very large container. It's a 30-gallon, 35-gallon size. I think actually it's 30. I think it's 29. This is Coldedon Blanc, same thing from a friend. This is my Black Madeira KK I just got from a friend. Very mature trees. I did pay a pretty decent amount of money for them, but I think it's well worth it. I mean, this is my raspberry latte that's now leafing out. I have 2 raspberry latte trees. This is the other one, and since I got one for my friend that's very mature, I decided to use this one as rootstock and graft 3 new varieties onto it. This here that has taken is Mega Celeste. So, yeah. Oh, and here's my Smith for all of you guys interested. This is my Smith. Again, I think I've said this before. I've said this a lot in public on various online communities and whatnot. This is probably the best fig for this area. Not very hardy, but very early, productive. And the figs are, in my mind, almost equivalent to the Black Madeira. So, you know, a little smaller in size, but they have that honey and they have that berry flavor that both Black Madeira has, which makes it such an incredible fig. Anyway, guys, we can continue this video, this walkthrough here. I'm going to continue that for you guys in another